Alright, so today we're going to talk about ageism. So this is something the baby boomers did not create. It's just another thing that they exasperated. Baby boomers have always been ageist. They've been ageist since they were born, ever since they were toddlers, because they've never mentally progressed past toddler. They still act like toddlers. And they're ageist like a toddler is. Like, toddlers love toddlers. You always see, that's why they like to use babies and toddlers and children's shows as much as they can, and little kids, because babies and little kids respond to other little kids. Their ageism, it kicked up real hard when they were teenagers. They're finally able to be their own person. They became extremely angry towards their parents' generation.
One of the first questions they'll ask is, what do you do? And so I say, I live. And they say, no, I mean, do you work or what? And I said, no, I just live. And they said, well, you must do something, because their whole orientation is towards job, occupation. This is their whole life. Money.
A lot of people say to me, what are you doing? You're not doing any work. You're not working at a job and making a big salary. But we're doing the hardest work in the world because we're growing. We're trying to change. And that's a lot harder than staying in the same rut and going along year after year, doing the same thing and thinking the same things and living the exact same way.
And any older generation, honestly. Any generation that wasn't theirs. In fact, even younger generations. They hate everyone but themselves. And it's always been this way. And that's why they were rebelling against society so hard. Because they thought they knew better. Like all teenagers do. Or children, they thought they knew better than their parents. The only problem is the boomers never grew up. They never grew out of it. And so they're basically that same person that they were when they were a teenager, in the sense that they believe that they're right and they've done no wrong and they've never done any wrong. They've never made any mistakes and they never will. It's everyone else who's the problem. It's never them. It's never been them. And so that was the first target of their ageism, was their parents. And they were extremely mean to old people. Not just their parents, but all old people. Any old people. Then they had children. And they quickly learned to resent and hate their own children. Generation X was their first generation that they spawned. But the crazy part about the boomers is they have spawned 3 generations of children, not just one, which is just insane to think about, that somebody in their 40s would want to have more kids after they've already had 2 litters. But that's a discussion for another time. At first, they tried to get along with Gen X. When Gen X was in their early adolescent years, they were really trying to get them to do all the same things that the boomers did. They tried to get them to enjoy the same things. And when Gen X didn't respond or didn't do any of the things that they wanted, they became extremely resentful and hateful towards that generation. And the first thing they hated was the skateboards, because they, in their minds, invented skateboarding. And so it was something that we should have done, but only in the way that they prescribed. And it's sidewalk surfing, according to them. So you must do it in this fashion. And so we thought, we would evolve the sport and make it, I don't know, not necessarily, well, maybe, yeah, make it better. But, and we thought that they would appreciate this and that they would cheer us on. And what we found out was they did nothing but hate on everything that we did with skateboards. They hated the whale tail boards that we came up with, all the railing, the new wheels, the new trucks. They hated, the ramping, ramps and jumps and stuff. They hated all of it. We're not doing it right, according to them. We're just supposed to skate on the sidewalk, and in special approved areas for skateboarding only. They brought the world down on us for skating. I don't know. Some of you might remember that there were, or know about, there's a saying that was by skateboarders saying, skating is not a crime. And the reason that came about because there was no skate parks. We had to skate wherever we could at the time. I mean, college campuses, like anywhere we were skating, like it was so bad. Like if you were even on the sidewalk, the cops would stop you and harass you for skateboarding. That's how bad it was. And that's why we had to start building skate parks. And what's funny is that the boomers didn't build the skate parks. We did. Generation X did. The other aspects is like music. So we listened to 60s and 70s music growing up because there was nothing else, in the 80s, so we like appreciated all this music, and then we created our own music, which once again we thought would be met with open arms. But again, we found out that they hated every music that we ever created. They hated all of it. They hated if it was new, they hated it. They hated everything that we wore. They made fun of us for everything that we wore, all of our hairstyles. Because as children, we didn't understand what was going on. We didn't understand that they hated us. Why these adults were shitting on us, like constantly. We even looked at each other and were like, are we doing something wrong? Like, and then we started doing stuff that was more extreme, like piercing, and that's when they like absolutely lost their mind on Generation X. They're just like basically treated us like everyone's treating Generation Z today. We're gonna destroy the country. That was the other similarity that they constantly brought up. Is we were gonna be the ruin of this country, and we were slackers. That was their biggest fear, was that we would be around and we were gonna slack somehow. So after they were done hating on Generation X, then they turned their guns on to the Millennials. But the thing was, the Millennials and the Boomers got along real well in the very beginning. I guess it was because it was their second litter of children, so they were more coddly with them. I'm not even sure why. I think it was because the Millennials, for some reason, really looked up to the Boomers, and they wanted to be them. And everything the Boomers told them was gospel to their ears. All their crazy leftist communist ideas, the Millennials just ate it up with a spoon. Just like the Boomers ate up the stuff that was presented to them by we can't say who, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you know who created all this mess. Anyway, the Millennials just ate up everything the Boomers. They wanted to be the Boomers. Like by the time they were teenagers, they were like ready to retire. They were dressing like the Boomers and everything. So this is why we have another leg of why the Boomers have been able to keep control for so long, because the young and inexperienced Millennials who were too dumb to know any better totally backed everything that the Boomers brought to the table.